Amazon Prime released a new documentary called Bye Bye Barry, and this has to do with Barry Sanders. And still, many people are asking themselves or questioning why did Barry Sanders retire so suddenly before the 1999 season? And I've watched so many interviews, so many things about Barry Sanders, and I understand that Detroit Lion fans are upset that he left the way he did and the way he handled everything. But if you know Barry Sanders, the kind of person he is, then it's no surprise why he didn't. But I personally, I almost had a chance to watch Barry Sanders play through my TV screen, but I didn't. But when I learned about him, I admire so much about him, his humility, not caring about certain things. He's more of a we guy than an I guy. He believes more in team success than individual success. In this documentary, it was great to see guest appearances by Eminem, Jeff Daniels, Tim Allen, Calvin Johnson, the great Calvin Johnson, who played for Detroit Lions. But Tim Allen, Jeff Daniels and Eminem, they're all Detroit natives. They're all Lion fans. So I was happy to see them um, give their opinions on Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was not a media guy. He was not this uh, huge personality. That was more his father. His father was basically the spokesperson. His father was kind of like LeVar Ball before LeVar Ball, but he never took it to the stratosphere like LeVar Ball did because LeVar, he is super outspoken, but so he's way what LeVar Ball was super on a whole nother level compared to Barry Sanders' dad. But Barry Sanders' dad, he liked the attention. He, like I said, he always spoke for Barry, and one thing that his father said, and is rare you're gonna hear that nowadays because parenting is so different and times were different back then. He said, I'm not your father, not your friend. And I feel that a lot of parents nowadays, they're more of a friend than a father. And that's why um, it's one of the reasons why kids are so out of control and disrespectful nowadays because there's not enough values, not enough accountability when it comes to correcting their kids, what's right, what's wrong, and things of that nature. So I like that. That was one of my favorite quotes from this documentary. Why did Barry Sanders walk away? It could be many different reasons. I believe that Barry Sanders was just didn't have it in him anymore in the sense that he was not as passionate for the game anymore. Also, I believe that problems with ownership, front office, coaches also played a factor because they got to a point in his last few seasons, the Lions were giving away the core pieces that Barry Sanders went to war with. Barry Sanders went to war with a lot of these guys and build relationship with a lot of these guys. So the fact that the Lions were letting them go or letting them walk away, it didn't sit too well with Barry. And you could see it in the interview that it bothered him that some of these moves were being made. Barry Sanders, going back to his dad, Barry Sanders said that his father was his biggest fan, but also his biggest critic. So, and you need that. And to challenge Barry Sanders, his father would always compare him to Jim Brown by telling him that you'll never be as good as Jim Brown. But he did that to, to add more fuel to the fire, to keep him motivated, to keep him focused, not to lose that passion for football. If you want to be great, look at Jim Brown, look at these other guys. So um, there's nothing bad about um, parents challenging their kids early on, saying like, you're not as good as this person, you're not as good as that. If they can't take it, then they're mentally weak. But Barry Sanders was always strong-willed in that regard. Um, Barry Sanders, he was part of a great 1989 draft class. He got drafted in the same year as Troy Aikman, Deion Sanders, the list goes on and on. In Barry's debut game, it was cool to see the fans chant Barry, Barry, Barry because they wanted him to get in the game. So and that same season, his rookie season, he had a chance to get the rushing title, but he didn't care about that. So the spotlight was on him ever since he won the Heisman Trophy. He was not even ecstatic when he won the Heisman Trophy. Um, because again, Barry Sanders was not a guy that cared about individual awards. It was more about the team success. So, but hey, he knew that it meant well to his family. So at least, it felt good for him that his family were happy for him about him accomplishing these things. But when the spotlight was on him, he didn't care about that. He didn't care about being famous or anything like that. He didn't care about promoting himself or branding himself. It was more about I come in, I play the game the right way. He didn't even celebrate touchdowns, which I love and admire about him. He will always just give the football straight to the referees and go about his way. He probably knew that he was that good, so he didn't have to do too much. And I wish that a lot of people would do that. Like, if you know you're that good, like you don't have to do all that extra stuff when you score a touchdown or whatever the case may be. So I always liked that about Barry Sanders, that he would carry himself the right way. Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith. Boy, that is one of the biggest what ifs in the sense that if only they could compete year after year after year in the postseason. They only did it one time, which was in the 1991 divisional round. And Emmitt Smith, we know how much of a great running back he is, but the difference is that Emmitt had a better team. He had better coaches, better teammates. A lot of these coaches and teammates went on to the Hall of Fame. Barry Sanders, he didn't have that great coach or great teammates around him. If you, and that's something I agree about this documentary. If you put Barry Sanders in that Cowboys team, he would have had rings. Evan went on to win 3 Super Bowls. Barry Sanders, um, deep down, he felt that after the 91 season, that the Lions would get a chance to crack at it, to go back to the conference, to a championship game, or even a Super Bowl, and that never got to happen. Why? Front office. That's my opinion. That GM, I'm not even gonna say his name, that GM, when I learned in this documentary that they had a chance to get Joe Montana, and the GM said that he's too old. Joe Montana went to Kansas City, and he had success in Kansas City. He took them to the playoffs. They had a chance to get Joe Montana and Warren Moon. It was going to be one or the other. And the GM said, they're getting too old, or they're too old. Like, now, let's take a pass. So there's always that what if? What if Barry Sanders had one of those quarterbacks on the team with this Lions franchise? But that didn't happen. Um, so yeah, like I said, Barry Sanders didn't care about accolades. Um, and what else? This is like an hour and a half documentary, and it was just amazing, amazing to watch. Um, I'm gonna finish 2 things, actually, 3 things. Um, Barry reaching the 2,000 yards in Week 17 against the Jets in 1997. That's probably the only individual record that he cared about. So the fact that he accomplished that, and his family was there, that was a great moment. Um, I also, and this is one of my favorite parts of the documentary, I love the shot of him and his 4 boys, his sons, walking in the streets of London because when he faxed, that's the third thing, when he faxed his retirement announcement to the Lions organization, I found that hilarious, but I found that was smart as well because he didn't want to hold a press conference and draw attention to himself. That's something I probably would have done myself I found it funny but clever at the same time. A lot of people didn't like it. Probably people still feel salty about it, but whatever. So when he sent that fax, I believe he was in London with his kids. So the fact that in 2023 they show a shot that they're in London, him and his boys walking, I love that. I love that father and son spending time together, and his son's asking him like why did he retire at the top of his game. So I like that. I like that a lot. Thank you for watching this video. Hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, be safe and may God bless you all.